Mhm. Could you get me the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act that was enacted in Congress in 1996? Yes. I would say it's terrorist to discriminate against men. As much as you dislike the thought of having to, it's terrorist. It's terrorism. I've spent the last 3 years emailing law enforcement, yeah, those that are in office, state legislatures, yes, those that are attorneys, judges, and justices, Supreme Court justices, yes, and those that are legally liable for the enforcement of the laws, that there's forgery and fraud, that my sons were abducted from Guam, are kidnapped, and the laws of the United States are not being enforced. Now, I will sue each and every oath of office in this nation, yes, for not only the color of law violations, but for being terrorists. Terrorists. Now, terrorism, yes, is the knowingly refusal to acknowledge the laws of the United States and using your power to terrorize American citizens. Yes. Now, this court document that I found out about where Ginsburg and Elena Sotomayor, Gorsuch, Brett, Thomas, Roberts, it is terrorism to refuse to acknowledge the rights of citizens. Now, I think there might be something in this little law right here that I just found out about. The Effective Death Penalty Act. I'm going to have put to death every oath of office in this nation that thought that they had no liability for the protections of the Constitution of the United States. Now, I mentioned in some recorded phone calls about depriving me of my enjoyment of life. Yes. And I was in complete disagreement with this whole racially motivated death sentencing. Yes. Now, maybe it's gender specific death sentencing. If I looked at the total number of women on death row versus the number of men, and then I looked at the percentage of arrests, yes. Is it that men are put to death more than women because of, oh, it's not racially motivated, it's gender. Now, I did email the NAACP. They said since I wasn't colored, I didn't have the same civil rights protections. I emailed the ACLU. They said that since it wasn't the legal justification for qualified immunity. The Ku Klux Klan Act, part of the suite of enforcement acts, yes. That any person, yes, oath, badge, attorney, or mandatory reporter, under the color of any law, the required reporting of all child abduction, child exploitation, statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage of any state shall subject or cause to be subjected any white man within the United States of the deprivation of the equal rights of due process, the equal rights of the enforcement of forgery laws, the equal rights of the enforcement of fraud laws, the equal right of the enforcement of conspiracy laws, the equal right to the enforcement of terrorism laws. Now, every oath of office, I want you to know if you have any knowledge of my rights being violated, I will sue you as terrorists of the United States of America. You will do what you have sworn. You will be accountable. It is in the best interests of the United States government to not have any employee that uses terrorism to refuse